Hi guys, Tutor here. Today I'm going to explain something a little different. Now that you know some verbs, it's time to learn how you can mold them, change them up a little to fit the kind of sentence you use. The first and easiest of these changes is called progressive tense, and it's quite easy to understand. Even I was a little surprised how easy it was to understand. Well, here, I'll explain. The progressive tense forms are as follows. For AR verbs, you would drop the AR and add an ando or ANDO. For ER verbs, you would drop the ER and add an IENDO or yendo. It's the same thing for IR verbs too. You would still add the IENDO and not the INDO. I'll show you some examples. I'm going to be using three verbs. Lavar, which means to wash, comer, which you guys already know, it means to eat, and escribir, which again you guys already know, it means to write. Yo lavando, tú lavando, él lavando. Okay, these aren't actual sentences. There's no verb. In like you need two verbs. It's not an actual sentence. I'll explain later. Yo comiendo, tú comiendo, él comiendo. Yo escribiendo, tú escribiendo, él escribiendo. Again, this is regardless of conjugation. That means that the progressive tense doesn't change based on the subject. For example, if the subject was nosotros and the verb was lavar, you would still use lavando. Uh, Same thing with the comer and escribir. This is one big thing about progressive tense verbs, and what makes it so easy to understand. Instead of having to memorize six different conjugations, you only need to memorize one. In this case, it's just this ending, or this ending, depending on the ending of the verb. This is actually the action I was telling you guys about earlier, if you watched my earlier video on Ser and Estar. It's the final piece of the Estar puzzle. This means that you need to use Estar and not Ser, which actually work, unlike the sentences I totally just made up here. In this case, I'm going to use the same verbs, but I'm going to use a notable difference. I'm going to be using the verb estar, which again I said earlier. Estoy lavando, which means I am washing. Estás comiendo, which means you are eating. Está escribiendo, which means he or she or usted is writing. Estamos hablando, which means we are talking. Estáis aprendiendo, which means you guys are learning, hopefully, from this video. Están viviendo, which means they are living. Notice it's quite simple, really. It's just estar plus the progressive tense verb. It's just it's like really simple. Again, I said this. You can add more to the sentence to describe it too. For example, instead of just saying estoy lavando, you can describe what you're washing by saying estoy lavando los platos. Again, you can use this for like comiendo as well. You could say estás comiendo las hamburguesas. Again, it's a more descriptive sentence. You could do this with pretty much any verb, with a few exceptions, of course. I lied about putting a quiz in this video because I also want to explain some progressive tense verbs which are irregular and don't follow this pattern. I'll explain those in a next part of this video, which I'll be calling part 2. Well,